Good morning. This is the video for the session number 7 for the group B. I am waiting for the students. Um, so I am going to wait until 9:10. Okay, let's see.
Good morning, teacher. How are you?
Good morning, Stephanie. Very good, thanks. How are you today?
Well, I have was a bit very sick, but I was good now.
Okay. Do you have flu?
No, headache,
Oh,
terrible headache,
okay.
all the week. But well, now I'm good.
Did you take some pills?
Yeah, a lot of. But well,
Maybe
this
you.
is my problem of all my
Maybe.
life.
Oh, me too, actually. I like to try with some tomate de árbol. I don't know. If you can
Well, yeah.
try, because it's very good actually. It works a lot. So
Ah,
yes,
I didn't know that.
yes, actually it's very good. I have a lot of headaches. I don't know why, but all the time I have headaches, and with this kind of juice, I feel much better. So you can try also.
Ah, okay, teacher, thanks
Okay.
for the recommendation.
Okay, don't worry. So we are going to wait a little bit for the rest. Uh, so we can wait a little bit, okay?
Okay, teacher, no problem.
So you can turn your microphone off.
Okay.
Thank you. So okay, we are going to start the class because it's a little long today. And we are going to start with the session number 7, and we are going to talk about the present perfect, okay? So, Stephanie, do you know something about the present perfect?
Yes, teacher. In this tense, we need to use have auxiliary and then verb in past participle to indicate one action that start before but now continue.
Yes, it's true. It's one action that start in the past and can be unfinished or can be right now. Still, okay? So you can turn your microphone off, Stephanie. Thank you. And let me share my screen. We are going to see a video about this topic.
Welcome to English Grammar Spot. This lesson is about the present perfect. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to form a present perfect and when to use a present perfect. But before we get started, it's good to know how to conjugate the verb to have. For the singular forms, I have, you have, he has, she has, it has. And for the plural forms, we have, you have, they have. It's also good to know that in the English language there are regular and irregular verbs, and it is advisable that you study the most commonly used irregular verbs. Now let's get started. Take a look at these sentences. I've painted the door yellow. They've paid for dinner themselves. Both these sentences are in the present perfect tense. How to form a present perfect? Let's have a look at the regular verbs. For the regular verbs, we use the auxiliary verb to have and the past participle. You can make a past participle by adding ed to the infinitive form of the verb. Now let's have a look at these singular forms. I have worked there. You have listened carefully. He has cleared the table. She has placed it on the floor. It has snowed. For the plural forms, we have walked to school. You have watched the tennis match. They have marked the tests. Now we need to pay extra attention to verbs that end in an E, such as live, close, and wipe. For these verbs, we use the auxiliary verb to have and the past participle, but the past participle is made by simply adding a D to the verb. Look at the examples. I've lived here for quite some time now. He has closed the window. They have wiped the floor. We also need to pay attention to verbs that end in a Y, especially those preceded by a consonant, such as spy and study, because we change the Y into an I. For example, he has spied on his neighbours, and we have studied hard. Now let's have a look at the irregular verbs. For the irregular verbs, we also use the auxiliary verb to have and the past participle, but for the irregular verbs, the past participle has a unique present perfect form. Take a look at the examples. I've built that shed with my own two hands. The infinitive form of the verb is to build with a D. She has bought some flowers at the market. The infinitive form of the verb is to buy. We have run the marathon. The infinitive form of the verb is to run. Now let's have a look at the present perfect in questions. First, for the regular verbs. Again, we use the auxiliary verb to have and the past participle. Has she talked to him yet? Have you kicked the ball? Have they ever worked on a farm? For the irregular verbs, we also use the auxiliary verb to have and the past participle, but now the unique present perfect form. For example, has she quit her job yet? Have you ever driven a car? Have they ever paid for dinner? Let's have a look at the present perfect in negations. For the regular verbs, again the auxiliary verb to have, and we add not, contracting it into haven't or hasn't and the past participle. I haven't listened to the news. It hasn't rained since Friday. They haven't closed the window. For the irregular verbs, we also use the auxiliary verb to have and not, contracting it into haven't and hasn't, and the past participle. For example, she hasn't quit her job. The infinitive form of the verb is to quit. You haven't ever driven a car. The infinitive form of the verb is to drive. And they haven't paid for dinner. The infinitive form of the verb is to pay. Now let's have a look at the present perfect in use. We use the present perfect for things that happened in the past, but it is not important when they happened. I've been to Scotland. It's not important when I've been there, it's important that I've been to Scotland. They've decided to buy a car. It's not important when they decided it, the decision alone is important. We also use the present perfect for things that started in the past, but that have continued in the present. For example, Bob and Jack have known each other for ages. For example, they met in the 1970s and they are still friends. They have lived there since 2011, so they moved there in 2011 and they've continued to live there. We also use the present perfect when the following words are in a sentence: for, yet, never, ever, just, already, since. Here are some examples. I've lived here for 3 years. We haven't seen that film yet. Have you ever watched a football game? I thank you for your attention. For regular updates, please subscribe.
Okay, this is the first video that I want to show you, and also here the presentation for today, the present perfect. This is our session number 7. The present perfect tense is used for finished actions, past event, less press results. She has lost her wallet. She can't find it. Present completed actions. I have just finished my project. Unfinished actions. Duration from past until now. I have lived in Paris for 5 years. Multiple actions at different times. I have seen David several times. Changes over time. I have become more interested in medical issues. Accomplishment. Man has walked on the moon. And life experience. This is important. We can explain a lot of different experience with this present perfect tense. Have you ever eaten sushi before? So, I have another video, but I have the explanation first. So, present perfect. So, the present perfect is used to indicate a link between the present and the past. The time of the action is before, now, but not specific. And we are often more interested in the result than in the action itself. So, it means that it's something happened, but it's not important actually. We are not concerned with when, okay? So the present perfect is used to describe an action or situation that started in the past and continues in the present. I have lived in Bristol since 1984, but I still do. An action performed during a period that has not yet finished. She has been to the cinema twice this week, and the week is not over yet. So here they are talking about the period because the week is the period and still is the same week. A repeated action in a specific period between the past and now. We have visited Portugal several times. Okay, an action that was completed in the very recent past expressed by just. I have just finished my work. Okay, an action when the time is not important. He has read War and Peace. The result of his reading is important. But she cannot explain the time in this case, okay? So these are examples about that. Action started in the past and continued in the present. They haven't lived here for years. She has worked in the bank for 5 years. We have had the same car for 10 years. So here explain some time, okay? 5 years, 10 years. You can say days several times when you are referring to present perfect. When the time period referred to has not finished. I have worked hard this week. It has rained a lot this year. We haven't seen her today. So this is with time period, but it's not finished. For example, this week, this year, today. So the time still is the same. Action repeated in a specific period between the past and now. They have seen that film 6 times. It has happened several times already. She has visited them frequently. We have eaten at the restaurant many times. So the actions are repeated. 6 times, several times, frequently, many times, okay? So we can use also these kind of words with the present perfect. Action completed in the very recent past. We use just for this. So we use this just here in the positive, for example. We use subject plus have plus just plus the verb in past participle. So I have just eaten. We have just seen her. Has he just left? So it's the same thing, just change in the question. We add have or has first and after the subject plus just plus the verb in third form, okay? So when the present time of the action is not important or not known. Someone has eaten my soup. Have you seen Gone with the Wind? She studied Japanese, Russian, and English. So we use, we don't know the time of the action. Someone has eaten my soup, okay? And it's not important, or we don't know. So for forming the present perfect of any verb is composed of two elements. The appropriate form of the auxiliary verb to have plus the past participle of the main verb. The past participle of a regular verb is base plus ed. Played, arrived, looked. For irregular verbs, we have another kind of verbs after I will show you. Okay? In affirmative, we have the subject. In this case, it's a third person. We use has, okay? And the past participle. She has visited. In negative, we use the same thing. The third person, she, in this case, has not. We add the not to have for the rest of the persons, or for third person, has not. Okay, has not or have not. And the past participle. In this case, she has not visited or she hasn't visited. Depends what do you want to use. In informal, we can use hasn't, okay? In interrogative, to have, again, has she visited? So I explained to you before. In interrogative, we use have or has in the beginning of the phrase, plus subject, she, in this case, has she, and the past participle, visit. Has she visited? In negative, interrogative, we use hasn't she visited or have not, okay? Here I have some examples with the other person. I have walked. I haven't walked. Have I walked? You have walked. You haven't walked. Have you walked? He, she, or it has walked. He, she hasn't walked. Has she, he, or it walked? We have walked. We haven't walked. Have we walked? You have walked. You haven't walked. Have you walked? They have walked. They haven't walked. Have they walked? So for present perfect is very easy because the verb always is in third form. And we need to use have or has, depend of the person that you are talking about, okay? This topic is very easy if we can start to practice a lot, because it's a little confused for us, because we need to start to learn, especially the verb in past participle, and it's a little tough because it's a lot of different kind of verbs, but we need to start to do it, okay? So, Stephanie, do you have any question?
No, teacher, it's clear for me.
Okay. So now I want to, I am going to show you a video about this topic, but this video is actually special because it's an English teacher explaining to some students, and she's talking about present perfect, past tense, and present perfect progressive. I want you to pay attention, especially to present perfect, because it's interesting how she describes some things that we need to know about this topic, okay?
We're going to talk about the present perfect, okay? So, first of all, let me move it to the middle. What does it look like? What does it look like? Does anyone know? Past participle. What is that? What is the past participle? Okay. Yeah, the third one, right? So we have the present, the base form, right? Base form. This one's called the simple past. But the third one is called the past participle, right? Just like speak is the base form. What's the past? Spoken. And spoken. Great. Okay. How do you know those? Well, we have a really nice list of those in our books. And you guys just please know that they are here in the appendix at the end of your book. They're great. You should study them. I'll also put those on Quizlet so you can just practice them on Quizlet. So we have plus the past participle of a verb, right? But is it just have, or can it be has? It can also be has, right? Okay. So it looks like this, right? So she has read a book, okay? That's the affirmative. How do I make it negative? She hasn't read. Good. So you just, what do you do to make it negative? You just add not. You don't need to add a helping verb. You just add not after the helping verb. You don't need to add another helping verb, right? How do I make a yes/no question? Has she read a book? Good. So helping verb first, and then the main verb's over here, right? Verb subject, right? How do I make a WH question? Why has she read? Why has she read? Why has she read a book? Perfect. Okay. So you can do that, right? But how do you know when to use it? How do you know when to use it? Something happened and continue to Okay, there's two times. There's two reasons why we use the present perfect. Two. And they're both, I think students confuse them a lot. Okay. So the first reason why we should use the present perfect is just like the present perfect progressive. Okay. So to explain an action that started in the past and to the present or even future, okay? It's the same. The only thing that's different is that usually you're going to use this one for the non-action verbs. Yeah, non-action. Because you can't use non-action verbs with ing, right? You can't say, I have been knowing English for 2 years, right? You can't say that. Why not? Because yeah, that's non-action. So you can't. But this this is the same thing as the present perfect progressive. So
you can use the non-action?
you can't use non-action with ing, right? But you can use it with present perfect. And present perfect is have or has, just past participle, no ing. So how can we say this sentence with
I have done.
Okay, but this works, right? That means in the past, I started to know English, right? 2 years ago, actually. Here's now. I continue to know English until now. It started in the past and continues. Does that make sense? Right? I have known English for 2 years. And maybe, hopefully, right? I'll know it tomorrow and the next day. Yes?
For the action verb, how can I understand? Use past perfect or past?
The present perfect or the past perfect progressive. So,
What action verb?
okay, so what I always tell for an action verb, so like run or live or read, right? I always tell my students, if you're focusing on how long something has happened, you should always use present perfect progressive. This is always going to tell you how long, right? So if you're focusing on the time, 2 years, 1 month, 2 days, four semesters, then use the present perfect progressive. But for the present perfect, if you're not focusing on how long, there's a different use for it. Okay, so if you're focusing on how long, use the present perfect progressive. Okay, if the verb is an action verb. Okay, like I have been reading for 2 years. This is an action. It's better to use this than this. This one's better than this one. Why? Because we're focusing on how long. How long? 2 years, right? They're both grammatical, but this one's better because it's this form. So when we're focusing on how long, use this one unless it's non-action. Okay? That's what I just try to tell people. There's more reasons, but most of the time, the best choice is this one if it's an action verb and you're focusing on how long. But both are correct. Yes, both are correct. Both are correct. Yeah, this one is going to be more common if we're focusing on how long. Okay. Yes, that's what. You can use both. Yeah, they both have the same meaning. But let me point out something important. The only time this means this, the only time this means this is when you're using it with since or for, okay? If you're using it with since or for, it means this, okay? So again, for example, she has known English for 2 years. How long?
2 years.
2 years. And we're using for. When do we use for again? With a how long, right? A duration. I can also use since. She has known English since.
Since 2 years.
You have to use a specific time in the past. 2014, right? Okay. Now, if I take away the since and for, watch what happens. Now, okay, now, this doesn't mean the same thing, okay? This just means it happened in the past. She knew English in the past. It's done. Maybe now she still does, maybe not. Maybe it's not continuing anymore, okay? So it's very important if you use since and for with the present perfect, it means that it's continuing, right? But if you don't, it has a totally different meaning. So if you use the present perfect without since and for, it means a finished action in the past with an indefinite time. What does indefinite mean? Indefinite means not specific. Not specific, okay? So, let me give you another example. How long have I been talking? Maybe 2 hours, feels like. The instructor has spoken for 30 minutes, right? What does this mean when I say has spoken, present perfect? That means this, finished? No. I'm using for and since, so what does it mean?
It's finished.
It's started past or
Continue now. Started in the past, continues till now. Why? Because I have for. When I use the present perfect with for, it means the action started in the past and continues until future. Now, what?
It's very close to progressive.
Right, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same as the progressive. The instructor has been speaking for 30 minutes. Has been speaking. Exactly the same. These two are exactly the same. Which one should you use? Which one's better? This one. Yeah, the first one, because it's an action verb and we're talking about how long. So it's better to use that one. But what if I say, oops. If I don't put since or for, then it means
Past finished.
and I use present perfect but no since, no for. What does that mean?
Past finished.
It's finished.
Near to past.
Yes.
I don't know.
So remember, this is without since and for. Okay? So no since, no for, right? This is with.
What's the difference between this sentence and the instructor spoke?
Okay, good. And that's a question I'm gonna do that at the very end. But what does this mean, you guys? Instructor has spoken. What does that mean?
Like she's spoken already.
It's done. Do we know when she talks?
No.
Because it's indefinite, okay? The time doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's finished, right? Or for example, she has been to Rome. Okay. She has been to Rome. That's a great thing. That's a cool experience to have in your life. Is the time important? No. The experience, the action is important. She's been there. Do we care when it happened? Maybe not. The important thing is that it happened. So that's when we need to use that one, the present perfect. Okay? So let me give you an example now of all of them, and you can tell me what the difference is. Okay?
The instructor has spoken for 30 minutes.
Continue. But this one means happened in the past. Good question. So why are we using past? Remember, simple past, you focus on a finished time usually, a finished time. Present perfect, without since and for, we don't have a time. There's no time. The only time you could have, maybe if you want a time, is you could focus on how many times, like once, twice, right? 3 times. The instructor has spoken 3 times, right? The student has read a book once. Okay, so I'm going to write example. We could analyze them, right? Okay. And then you guys tell me the difference. The students have been writing. Okay, we're going to leave in a second. The students have written. The students have written for 2 weeks, and the students wrote. Okay, there's really no time here except for here. So the students have been writing. Are they still writing? Yes. Yes. Do we know how long? No. But we know it's still happening. We can know how long. If I want to say it's been 2 weeks, how do I do that? You just add for or since, right? Okay. The students have written. Okay, is that still continuing? No, it's finished. That's finished. Present perfect without since and for means it's finished. Do we know when they wrote? No. And it doesn't matter. If you care about when they wrote, you need to use the simple past. You can say, the students wrote last week. If you say last week, you have to use simple past because this is a finished action. Over here, if you say last week, students have written last week, that is so ungrammatical, okay? You can't use a specific time in the past with this one, okay? You can say once, twice, 5 times. Here, the students have written for 2 weeks. Are they still writing or are they finished? Finished. No. Oh, I think they still reading. Present perfect plus for or since means started in the past, continues. So they are still writing. Okay. So this and this are the same. The first one for 2 weeks. Say for 2 weeks means this one. No, this is still happening. They have been doing it for 2 weeks. Maybe they're going to do 2 more weeks. Don't say for 2 weeks. If you do, it just means we don't know how long, but it means they're still doing it. They're still writing. So this one, you don't have to have the time.
Okay, this is the video that I want to show you because she explained very good the words force and since. This is really important, but remember the present perfect is used and we don't care about when happens the actions, okay, or the affirmative. Stephanie, do you have any question until now?
No, teacher. I think that teacher is great. Is a native
Yes.
speaker English, no?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. It's great.
And do you have any question about the video or do you like something that she says?
Well, no, it's important, for example, when she say that the time is not specific, when, for example, no, we no use for X years, or, for example, we in this tense, we don't use yesterday, something, some these works, but refer the past. But we use since for in let me okay weeks, yeah, for
Yes.
explain the past.
Exactly. For the time, we can use depends of the phrase that you want to explain.
Yeah.
I think in this moment we can use this present perfect without time, just the regular form,
Yeah.
because when we use actions, is the present perfect progressive. But this moment, I want you
Yes.
to explain the present perfect, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe later I will make a session with the present perfect progressive that is really important because it's an action verb with ing. But
Yeah.
in this moment, the present perfect, we are going to talk about it, okay?
Okay.
So now I have here, okay, some words that we use with the present perfect tense. And we use the present perfect tense to talk about experience, like I mentioned before. It is important if we have done it in our lives or not. It is not important when we did it, okay? So it's not concerned with when happened the action, or depends what we want to talk about. I have been abroad 2 times. Anna has never broke a leg. Have you ever eaten sushi? We often use never and ever with the present perfect tense to talk about experience. Never and ever. So, Stephanie, do you know what is never and ever?
Yeah, teacher. Never, nunca, ever, siempre. But well, in the tense is different use, no? For
Yes, yes.
example, yeah.
Yes, depends of the use, but
Yeah.
never, nunca, and ever, um, because they use these words in this time. So
Yeah.
also we have some more words, like she mentioned, since and for, to say how long the action has lasted. So depends of the phrase that we want to mention. It depends. We can use this kind of vocabulary. I have been a teacher for more than 10 years. More than 10 years. And here we have the for and since. How long have you been at this school? So depends of the phrase that we want to mention. We can use this kind of vocabulary. So we also here we have um, these words that we can use. We also use the present perfect tense to talk about past actions that has the results in the present. I have lost my wallet. I don't have it now. So Jimmy has gone to South America, sorry. He isn't here now. Have you finished your homework? Is your homework ready? So we use just, already, and yet with the present perfect tense for an action in the past with the results in the present. Just, already, and yet. Okay, we make the present perfect tense with the correct form of the auxiliary verb have or has, depends of the case, and the third form, past participle of the main verb. To form the past participle of the regular verbs, we add ed to the infinitive. For example, I have worked as a secretary for 2 years. Have you ever visited the Disneyland? The film hasn't started yet. You may want to visit the English irregular verbs. So we need to start to practice these irregular verbs because they are really important and it's a lot of them. So we need to start to practice them and start to memorize it. Okay. So we have here the positive sentences. I have been to Moscow. You have finished the exercise. He has just gone home. She has already had a holiday this year. So we use this already close to the verb in third form. Okay. She has already had a holiday this year. And we use, what is the other one? Just. The same thing. He has just gone home. Close to the verb, okay? And already, let's check if I have one example here. Yet at the end. It hasn't finished yet. This yet always is at the end. I have not been abroad yet. I haven't been abroad yet. This yet always is at the end of the phrase. Okay? Present perfect questions. Have I ever done it before? Have you been to the cinema recently? Has he worked here long? Has she already sent the fax? You can see already also close to the verb in third form. Okay. Has it ever been in a crash? This ever also, they use this ever. Have we done it right? Have they gone home yet? You can see the yet at the end of the question. Always this yet is at the end of the phrase or the question, okay? This one I don't want to explain, but this one. Already means that something happened early that we expected. With present perfect already usually goes after have or has and before the main verb. We have already had our breakfast. We've already had our breakfast already close to the third verb, okay? When are you going to do your homework? But I have already done it. Do you want a cup of coffee? No, thanks. I have already had one. So this means that this person already take a cup of coffee already. Okay. Yet means that something that we expected has happened or hasn't happened. We usually put that in the end of the sentences, as I mentioned before. Okay. For and since the teacher explains very good the for and since when we talk about an action with the start in the past but continues up to the present. This is really important. We use for with a period of time, for example, few days, half an hour, 2 years. We use since with the time when the specific action started. For example, last year, June, I met you. I have had this computer for about a year. How long have you been at this school? I haven't seen Julia since September. So this for and since is important when the action starts in the past and is continually until now or maybe to the future. Okay? Okay. Now I have some examples and I want you to help me to fill the blanks, Stephanie. Which one is here?
Okay, teacher. She has called us.
Okay, very good. This one.
I suppose I haven't eaten lunch yet.
Okay, very good. Next one.
The train has just arrived.
Very good. Next one.
The boys have visited the city.
Okay. Next one.
She hasn't taken an umbrella.
Okay, very good. Next one.
Where has your aunt gone?
Exactly. Why is has?
Because your aunt is third person.
Exactly. Excellent. Here, the next one.
He has seen her this morning.
Okay, very good. Next one.
George hasn't been to the bank.
Okay, very good. Next one.
The children haven't worked today.
Okay, very good. This one.
My parents haven't planned their holidays yet.
Okay, very good. What about this one?
My friend has never been to the Madrid.
Yes. This one.
Has your brother left school?
Okay, very good. Why has?
Again, your brother is third person. He.
Exactly.
Refer to he.
Okay, what about this one?
Have you writing the letter?
Okay, very good. This one.
We haven't seen any snow yet.
Okay, very good. What about this one?
Have you spent all your money? Have. Have.
Has. Okay, sorry.
Very good.
Okay, this one.
He has drunk too much.
Okay, very good. This one.
My daughter has just had dinner.
Okay, very good. Here.
My mom has never played football.
Okay, this one.
Have you ever ridden an elephant? An elephant?
Okay, this
We
one.
have already bought him a present.
Very good. Okay, okay. Now we have another games here.
Okay.
Practice a little bit, but I can see you understand this topic very good.
Yeah.
So here we need to fill the blanks with these answers. Okay, so pay attention to the answers and what is in the blanks. For example, here. Which one
Okay.
is in the blank?
Uh, oh my God. Wait a moment.
Remember, we are talking about present perfect, so
I suppose is what? I don't know.
try one. It's
Well,
okay. Doesn't matter if you are wrong. And we are practicing right now. Don't worry about that.
maybe, but the first is half, no? Half. Give me a moment, think. What? Okay. What have you done? I have touched as swordfish. This, yeah,
So this one. Okay, let's check it out.
I suppose. Okay.
Nice shot.
Yes, it's good.
Okay.
Okay, another one.
Um, okay. Eating. Okay. Have you ever eaten octopus? Yes, I have. The
So
third.
which one? This one.
The third.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what that doesn't mean octopus?
Yeah. Yes, I have. In this case,
Okay.
no?
Yes. What doesn't mean octopus? You know?
Yeah. What mean?
Yes.
This fish. Well, no, it's an animal. In the sea animal, no?
Yes. Pulpo.
Yeah, with 8 arms and that. Yeah.
Okay, let's try out to check it out if it's good.
Nice shot.
Yes, very good.
Okay.
Another one.
Have you eaten hamburger headshot? I suppose is yes, he has the first. I-
Nice shot.
Yes, very good.
okay,
Another one.
lobster. Lobster is esa cosa cara. Well, doesn't matter. Have you ever seen? Yeah, the first. Have you ever seen a lobster? No, I haven't, but I seen a seahorse once. Okay, see, yeah, teacher, the first.
The first one. Okay, let's check it out.
I shot.
Yes, it's good. Okay, next one.
What has he done? I suppose it's the first too. He has caught a lobster. Yeah. I don't remember how do you say that word in Spanish.
Langosta.
Langosta. Thank
Yes.
you, teacher.
Good. So is the first one for you? You think it's the first one?
Yeah, the first one.
Okay, let's check it out.
I shot.
Yes, it's good.
Okay.
So another one.
What? Okay, I suppose it's what have done I have caught a tadpole. The second one. Yeah, maybe. Ah,
No.
the third. Ah, the
The third
third.
one.
The third. Yeah.
I shot.
Yes. Okay. All this kind of exercise help you to try this present perfect, and this is a tough actually um, tense to practice, because always we need to start to use this kind of verbs, regular and irregular, and it's kind of complicated for us because it's a lot of verbs, but we need to start to practice like with this kind of games. Okay, so next
Okay.
one.
What?
Oh, but this one I think we used already, no?
Yeah. We choose the second.
Yes.
I shot.
Okay, so now I have another here, and I don't want to enjoy things. The present perfect games. So we need to organize these words to make a phrase in the present perfect. So you can start right now.
Okay. Someone
Yes,
has just
yes,
stolen my bicycle.
okay.
I don't sure in where part is go just before has or after has.
After,
After.
close
Okay.
to the verb, close to the
Mhm.
verb, always.
Okay.
Always is close to the verb, okay?
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
Ay, ay. Ah, I don't like this game because it's a little hard to me. Yeah, let's move this one. Someone has just stolen my bicycle. Let's check it out. Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's good. Next one.
Mhm.
So this is a question.
It's a question. Have you found a new apartment yet?
Okay. Have you found a new apartment yet? Yes, it's good. Remember this yet and is in the end of any phrase, okay?
Yeah, teacher.
So even in the interrogative questions, you need to use this yet at the end. Very good. Okay, another one.
Mhm.
This is a positive, I think. Phrase.
Mm. I suppose it's her English has really
Really?
improved a lot lately. Lately.
I don't like this game actually. Okay, her English has really improved a lot lately. Yes, it's good. Next one. Okay, the last one.
Okay.
Oh my God, this one is so long. So pay attention to the words.
Okay, I suppose he's David and his wife
David and his wife
have
have
each other. Sorry. Have known each other
yes.
uh, see ever ever is after have, yeah, I suppose.
Ever, yes.
Okay, so ever after after or before, teacher, I don't remember that.
David and his wife
Ever have
known each other. This ever can be David and his wife. No, I don't know. I'm not sure actually.
me too. Okay, so each other since high school, but
Yes.
let me think where put ever.
Okay, let's check it out. Let's. David and his wife have known each other since high school. This ever can be
I suppose it's before have.
have ever known. Yes, I think so. Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. David and his wife have ever known each other since high school. I think this ever also is like just close to the main verb, to the past participle verb. Okay, let's check it out. No, it's not like this.
So before maybe.
Um, okay, man,
Yeah.
maybe this known, have known ever, but it's no. David and his wife have known each other ever since high school. I don't know. Ever? Maybe here close? Yes, it's like this. David and his wife have known each other ever since high school. So it's this ever is siempre. So yes, can be like this, okay? David and his wife have known each other ever since high school. We need to check out the process that we want to mention and after start to realize the vocabulary, okay? But this kind of exercise help you to improve your skills. Actually, you are doing excellent. I think you know this kind of tense and you manage the topic very well, Stephanie. Do you have any questions about it? Oh, sorry, Stephanie's gone. Hi, Stephanie.
Teacher, sorry, my internet is failed, but I'm here again.
Okay, don't worry about that. What do you think about this session? Do you like the topic, Stephanie?
Yeah, I really like because I always forget some structure or I forget, for example, some rule, and that this kind of practice is important for me because I really like the grammar. Yeah, I think this is my favorite thing in English, so I need to improve every day because it's my strength, my fortaleza, strength.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. Actually, with this kind of games, you can practice at home, and you can start to use the grammar and all the words that sometimes we don't use because we are afraid. But actually, this is very good. This kind of words, kind of games help you to improve your skills and also to check how are you doing with this grammar and this kind of topics. I know this topic is a little hard and you need to start to practice. I will send you a list. Here I have a list for you. And some instructions with positive and negative and question forms. And here I have the list also with present, simple past, and past participle to start to learn a little bit of this, okay? With the regular and irregular verbs. Here I have another.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for being in the class. I hope you like this topic and see you in the next time, okay?
Okay, teacher, thanks a lot. And my apologies for the Wednesday because I was very sick, so I have difficulties for enter to the class because I really how do you say butter the screen butter me
Yes.
yeah, so wow, was a terrible day, but thanks for this class, so have a good day.
Okay, thank you so much, and see you in the next time, okay? And have a good day too. Bye bye, Stephanie.
Okay,
Thank you so
bye bye, blessings.
much. Bye bye.